Hello everyone, I'm Renown Zero. We are back. Hope everyone had a great Labor Day weekend. And we are back making some videos now. We're going to be live streaming later, which will be awesome. But it seems to me that, of course, Sony PlayStation did the impossible and they made an absolute flop, quite possibly the biggest flop in gaming history, where Concord officially shuts down, goes offline, and refunds all customers within 2 weeks, within probably less than 2 weeks actually, since its launch. And it's absolutely hilarious because Sony can absolutely suck a fat one. This comes to us from Smash GAT. Concord officially shut down, goes offline, and refunds all customers. Concord just did the unthinkable and pulled the plug. Because obviously nobody wanted this pronoun garbage hero shooter. It's official, we have triumphed in a way that honestly no one could have seen coming, and Sony, along with Firewalk Studios, has hopefully learned a valuable lesson. In what's shaping up to be one of the most unprecedented flops in gaming history, Concord has been pulled offline and will no longer be sold with refunds being offered to everyone who purchased the game. With losses reportedly soaring well over $200 million, this has become a historical disaster in the video game industry. Following a launch that was met with widespread criticism and disappointment, the developers behind Concord have issued an apology to the community. Concord fans, we've been listening closely to your feedback since the launch on PlayStation 5 and PC. Whatever fans they really have with this horrible game. And want to thank everyone who has joined the journey aboard the North Star. But despite their thanks, the reality is clear. The game's initial release didn't land the way they had hoped. As a result, Concord will be taken offline starting September 6, 2024, while the developers quote-unquote explore options for the game's future. The cost of failure, an unprecedented refund policy. The announcement of Concord going offline is accompanied by a significant move, and one that I can't recall ever happening before, issuing full refunds to all players who purchased the game on PS5 and PC. Effective immediately, all sales have ceased, and the process for refunds has been set in motion. Players who bought the game via the PlayStation Store or PlayStation Direct will see refunds returned to their original payment methods within 30 to 60 days. Refunds will also be available through Steam and Epic Games Store, and customers who purchase physical copies will need to follow the refund procedures of their respective retailers. While the refund process is underway, one thing is clear. Once the refund is processed, players will no longer have access to the game, effectively wiping Concord from the digital shelves and making it as one of the most colossal failures in recent memory, which I'm pretty sure you can't even search for it now in Steam or Epic Game Store, which is hilarious. What went wrong? How did a game that had so much potential end up here? It's a question many are asking, and the answer may lie in the simple fact that Concord failed to resonate with the gaming community. Not even the modern audience wanted this trash. The game's poorly executed launch, coupled with content stuffed to the brim with DEI agendas that failed to meet any expectations, has left many wondering what exactly Sony and Firewalk Studios were thinking. Don't say we didn't try to warn them. It seems the developers lost touch with what gamers want, resulting in a game that was out of step with the market and unable to find its footing. This failure has come at a steep cost, both financially and reputationally, with over $200 million reportedly pissed down the drain. The decision to take the game offline and issue refunds is a rare and humbling moment in the gaming industry, a moment where gamers have clearly spoken and for once the developers are listening, albeit far too late in this instance. Oh, and now what happens to the episode in the Amazon series Secret Level where they talk about Concord. Oh god. A valuable lesson for the gaming industry. There's no doubt that Concord will go down in history as one of the biggest flops ever. It probably is the biggest flop ever, honestly. But it could also serve as a pivotal learning moment for Sony and Firewalk Studios. I highly doubt it since they moved their headquarters to California. It's been nothing but disaster after disaster, honestly. The community's response to the game was clear. They wanted something better, something more aligned with their interests, and they were not willing to settle for less. In an industry where player feedback is all too often ignored, a development like this one stands as a rare example of accountability and a reminder that gamers ultimately hold the power. Let's hope that moving forward, Sony and other publishers take this lesson to heart. I highly doubt it. Maybe the Koreans, maybe the Chinese, with Black Myth Wukong and the First Descendant, things of that nature. The gaming community has spoken, and this time they won. As Concord fades into history, the industry is left with a stark reminder: listen to your audience or prepare to pay the price. The gamers have made their voices heard, and now it's up to developers and publishers to step up their game, literally. But we also had game journals collectively melt down over this game shutting down. Game journals collectively melt down after Concord's abrupt shutdown. In the ever so inevitable fallout from the highly controversial game Concord shutdown, journalists, quote unquote, yes, I use that term ever so loosely as always, because you obviously don't hate game journalists as much as you should, across X are having a collective meltdown. Bloomberg reporter Jason Schreier: every time a live service game with no hook or strong word of mouth fails to penetrate an oversaturated market, the most annoying people on the planet will be there to blame diversity. Yeah, the games journalists will be there to blame... No. They'll blame the consumer for not wanting garbage games in the market. They don't want to play trash. And the market is oversaturated with hero shooters. We got games like Overwatch, Valorant, Paladins. You got plenty of those. We don't need any more. The game developed by Firewalk Studios and supported by Sony aimed to push that awful DEI narrative and that we've roundly rejected from the start. Kotaku Journal Alyssa Mercante retweets The Verge's Ash Parash, who has been in a video talking about diversity again. Let's tap the F out of this sign, please. No. No. We're not doing that. By the way, it filters out the wazoo with this one. Oh my god, she looks horrible. It's a victory for gamers who saw right through this facade and refused to buy into the woke propaganda, but at the same time, it's left the so-called professional journal seething with anger. How many smaller projects were deleted in its cradle to throw money at this live shooter BS that didn't last longer than my last... Bro, stop. They could have had Last of Us factions. They could have brought back SOCOM. They could have brought back Resistance. They could have brought back Killzone. There's plenty of multiplayer franchises that Sony owns that they could have easily brought back. They got rid of MAG. They got rid of the developer of MAG and SOCOM to have this garbage. They got rid of Last of Us factions to give you this garbage. To be clear, this ain't on the folks at Firewalk. Yes, it is. Their game looks like dog water, and it didn't appease anyone. They did what they could. It's just infuriating that folks were yelling at Sony when it announced its pivot to games as a service a couple of years ago. Nobody was doing that. Nobody was doing that. I don't know about this, champ, and here we are. For social media purposes, no... Oh, God. No one cares. Please, shut up. No one cares. From the moment the first trailer dropped, I've been warning Firewalk Studios about the impending failure of Concord. The game's concept was flawed, its messaging was heavy-handed, and its gameplay unappealing and already done before, and better. So much so that there's nothing out there with Rule 34. That's horrible. But in their arrogance, they didn't listen. Instead, they pushed forward with pronouns on a project that was doomed to fail, and now they've reportedly lost over $200 million. GameSpot managing editor Tamur Hussein says, this game was doomed to failure. Unfortunately, Sony is more interested in the business model more than the game, and the timing on it couldn't have been worse. It's a real shame. It was clearly well made. No, it wasn't, because no one cared about it. 8 years, and it was an absolute garbage game. What's particularly interesting is how the establishment journalists have been reacting on Twitter. Rather than acknowledging the valid concerns of gamers, they've instead chosen to go down with the ship, defending Concord every opportunity, blaming gamers, YouTubers, and anyone else not in their inner circle echo chamber for the failure. 8 years to make, a week and a half to succeed. Great system we've got. The game sucks. No one was interested in this garbage. Nobody cared about the designs of the characters. Nobody cared about the gameplay. Nothing. Meanwhile, I believe Marvel Rivals is doing much better. These professionals, quote-unquote, have been relentless in their support, dismissing critics as trolls or bigots, all while ignoring the reality that gamers simply didn't want what Concord was offering. Because there are plenty of other games that people obviously want, it just wasn't this garbage. This begs the question, why are these journalists so invested in defending a game that so clearly missed the mark, that probably none of them supported, by the way? There are countless better games out there that they actually respect the preferences and desires of the gaming community. First Ascendant, Black Myth Wukong, just to name a few, Stellar Blade. Yet these journalists continue to champion Concord as if it was a masterpiece, and I can tell you right now they probably didn't even buy it. As to make you wonder what more is going on behind the scenes. Second Wind Hagnick Kalanja liked the gameplay of Concord, thought they might be enough to carry it forward, but was not expecting launch to be this bad. Hope the studio doesn't get gutted, as there's clearly talent there. No. I'm sorry. No. Could it be there's a deeper connection between these journalists and the developers of Concord, or another agenda at play? After all, when a game flops this hard, you have to start questioning the motivations behind those who keep praising it. My heart breaks for Firewalk Studios. The fact that I wasn't given at least 6 months to properly sit through a season and adjust as a proper live service game is insane to me. It's very clear PlayStation didn't believe in this from the start and failed to support it. Obviously, the game's terrible. Looks terrible. Plays terrible. The freelance that said Grumps should never feel safe. Yeah, this is wild. 8 years. 8 years. One thing's for sure, this is a win for gamers everywhere. We've proven that we can still make our voices heard and that we can't be coerced into supporting games that push unwanted narratives. Director of Research and Insights at Nico Part is Daniel Ahmad. Do these people not understand how delusional they sound? You're surprised. People like you who push lefty woke ideologies have a hand in this as well. As for journalists continuing to melt down Twitter, maybe it's time to take a step back and actually listen to the gaming community for a change. Don't hold your breath. I 100% agree. They're not going to change. Not at all. it's always gamers bad, YouTubers bad, everyone bad when they make a terrible product. But when things like Black Myth Wukong sell 17 million copies in 2 weeks, they're like, oh no, you shouldn't play this game because more reasons, because I don't want you to play a good game. It's like, I want you to play this trash. Nobody wants to play this trash. No one's ever going to play this trash ever again, and hope it gets forgotten in history that never existed. Thank you all for checking out this video. I really do appreciate all the new subscribers, returning subscribers, new viewers, and returning viewers. If you do like this video, hit the like button, comment below if you feel about all this, subscribe for more content, hit the bell for notifications, set the bell to all, that way you get a notification anytime I post a new video or live stream, and I'll see you all in the next one. Peace.